think bigger brands will look to start in-house in digital skills. Like I said, it's become a bit more of a commodity.
Got to,
yeah, in-house those skills. So one thing that we're also looking to do on that front is, if we were to say sign a contract for 6 months with a client, we go, yeah, what we can do, we'll spend 3 months helping you deliver. Then we'll spend 3 months training your team that are coming in. That's where you can leverage consultancy positioning, because we've got the years of experience, so we know we can do that. So one of the big things that we are looking to push forward with is that sort of training, secondment, in-housing kind of strategy. I think where it's going, but clients will understand the value that what we're offering as well is strategic insight.
Hi, I'm Chris LeCount Harwood, host of the Employer Content Marketing Pod and director of the Content Marketing Pod. Welcome to episode 48. I chat with David Angus, Chief Strategy Officer at Curated Digital, about his experience in developing a consultancy offering in an agency. Business's ability to adapt is as important now as it has ever been, especially in the world of marketing, where agencies need to constantly add value and differentiate from their competitors. So having a consultative approach and offering is a big conversation well worth having. Let's get on with the chat.
Well, David, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you. How's things? Thanks for having me on. Yeah,
pleasure. Happy Friday. It's good to catch up, mate. What you been? How's your week been? Busy?
It's really busy. To be honest, I've got one more week before I'm away down to south of France with the wife and the kids. So I've got a lot of loose ends to tie up. So to be honest, it's been a manic quarter. So I'm looking forward to having a few glasses of vino on the veranda when I get the opportunity to.
Yeah, too right. Well, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy and stuff. So I'll tell you what, let's just crack on with a bit of an intro about yourself.
Yeah, no worries. So yeah, as I said, David Angus. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Curated Digital, who are a digital marketing consultancy with an agency aspect to them. My background has actually traditionally been in paid media. I've come through the ranks of, from very small agencies through to the likes of Havas, and then went on to a niche agency in insurance called Pancentric, and then fell in at Curated. I took on a role as head of paid media there, but I always had the ambition to move into a strategist role. And then that's from being a strategist role into becoming strategy director and then chief strategy officer. So I'm ultimately in charge of ensuring that client strategy is in the right vein, and also by driving the vision at Curated as it is. So exciting role, a man wearing many hats these days, but I wouldn't have it any other way, to be honest.
Yeah, nice. Well, it's been great. We used to work together at Havas people, and it's been great seeing all the stuff you've been getting on with. Well, while you're there, but also, having left Havas and what you've been up to. So, yeah, it's and actually the reason why. I mean, it's always good to catch up with you, mate. For sure. I think in particular I was at this event that you guys are part of, talking about you as an agency / consultancy moving towards that consultancy model. So I thought I just got to get you on the pod. So tell us a bit about that, and about this move towards this consultancy model.
Well, to be honest, it was born out of just the winds of change and actually understanding the market dynamics, and it was actually the time that we said let's pivot more towards a consultancy was probably one of the worst times you could have done that, and that was just before COVID struck. But I always thought that we were giving away way too much value in terms of strategy and insight, not even with the clients that we work with, but at a pitch stage. Right. So I was like, let's rewind this back a bit. Let's have a think about this. Also, I'm very aware that in this day and age, with the power of technology and how actually mature some of the digital channels have become, there's always new ones, but is that it's become a bit of a commodity. So you go to an agency, you have a prescribed brief, and they deliver to that brief. It's not a space that, per me personally, and I know with the skill sets that we've got in Curated, we wanted to play in. we also needed market differentiation. Like, I'll be totally honest, we were in a ocean of, thousands of other agencies doing a similar thing, but we were offering, I'd say, distinct products within that. So it's like, we need to start positioning ourselves differently in the market. And to be fair, off the back of that pivot, we got through, transparently, we got through the COVID period, probably by the seat of our pants, the skin of our teeth, whatever the cliche is. But we managed to do that by ensuring that we had enough cash flow coming into the business. But then what we did is, once things started to open up again, and then some of the paralysis went out of the economy and consumer habits, we were able to then build products in the market. And one product that we built, and this is the beauty of being able to innovate when you're under pressure. So a big client of ours, which is a big optical retailer, which you probably guess who it is, we built a framework called Assurance, and it was all about monitoring insight and trends at time and at speed, and then being able to communicate and consult with the client about making sure that they were getting the right marketing messages out to the right people at the right time, marketing, but being able to do that at speed. Because one thing that we've seen, we're working with a lot of businesses, there's a lot of inertia. So by having us there as that, I suppose, that assurance partner and assuring them that this is the right move to take. So a lot of now what we offer to our clients is very insight and strategy led, or insight and strategy first. One thing that we're looking to play with as a business is this idea of a consultancy that delivers. I've had a few conversations with mentors and consultants about our positioning, because if we were to fully pivot into pure play consultancy, you're going up against some big boys. You're going up, so we know that by having an element of delivery still attached to our name, that does give us still a bit of market distinction and differentiation. So what we're working at the moment is that we still will have an agency model within a business, and we will have a consultancy model, which I will head up. And then what we will use that is being able to feed, sometimes you might just get an agency brief, which is very channel led, it'd be your paid media, your social, SEO, organic. And then what you will do is then you deliver a campaign or something for a client, but you go, look, let's take a step back here. Let's get under the skin of your customers a bit more. Let's get the insight from about them. Let's build these, what I'd like to call digital personas, but instead of just personas that are drawn up on a whiteboard and are static, live, like they're living organisms. And then what you do is you craft your customer journeys, you craft your messaging, and then you put them back into the channels. And that's where actually the agency part can thrive. So this is one thing that at the moment we're solidifying now in the business, but it's been great, because I know we resonate more in the market to what I'd like to see as tier one customers, some of the bigger customers. We had our best year we've ever had last year. We're on track to have a better year this year. So we know we're in the right we're in the right trajectory, and we've got we've got a 4 to 5 year plan that we're looking to execute. And to be honest, what we're looking to do is start to apportion more consultancy revenue over those 5 years. So what we're doing, it's not like we completely phase the agency model out, but actually split would be a lot more favor towards a consultancy offer.
Yeah, that's interesting what you say, actually, because when you were talking, it just made me think of this thing about the importance of having strategic doers.
Yeah.
I've heard that often over the years, and said it myself, is that actually, you want people that, have got that kind of tactical delivery skin in the game, but have that strategic mindset. And then that's literally kind of taking that kind of delivery mindset and extrapolating it.
I think it's more important. I think one of the the benefits, because I always talk about T-shaped individuals, and I think one of the benefits that I had was I went very deep in paid media, but I was always trying to think strategically. But you can't just suddenly pigeon. You could be strategic in the way you think, in the way you act, but I think it's a matter to become that at that consultative level. You need it comes with experience. It really does. And I think one thing that I notice as well is you can go too far the other way, because I have grown up in the doing. Sometimes you know, you want to be in the trenches with the troops, so to speak. You want to be helping them out. You want to be leading by example. And like sometimes I've fallen into that trap where you end up delivering, to be honest, 80%, 90% of the work, and then you don't get any of that time to think. And I think it's probably about 3 years ago where I was still, you know, I've been at Curated for nearly 6 years now, and I was just like, basically account managing and delivering on about 4 or 5 briefs. The business is not getting off me. I'm getting the ump. I'm just going to leave. And I think a lot of it was about taking sort of destiny into my own hands. And I was just like, right, no, I want to go on a strategy director track. So I think I can really impact not only the client's business, but our business. And I think by having that mindset and having that checkpoint, it sort of really helped me. And I still do get involved in the strategic doings. And to be fair, I grew up with that. Like, if you think about the way we're structured to have as people, definitely the digital team, what we're talking 8-10 years ago, when, you know, you had like social media and PPC, a lot of clients were dipping their toes in. So it was a small team. So we had to be strategic doers, because you're driving commercial gain for both the client and obviously Havas, because, you know, you were spotting opportunities in the market. So in a way, I've been lucky that I've been able to grow up with that and being sort of commercial and strategy focused from just the situations I found myself in. But it's so important. I'd say to anyone, if I was to give advice to anyone coming up, you know, through the ranks or something, go and earn your spurs. Don't go. To be honest, if you go from 0 to 60 overnight, you're going to miss a big part of that learning experience. And actually, that could, unless you're a remarkable individual, and there are those people out there. You know, if you think about some of the entrepreneurs of 22, 23, they're just a bit different. But if you are just coming out of an apprenticeship scheme or graduate, go and earn your spurs, go and learn from people around you. I think it's so important. It's what I've taken on board, and to be honest, it's made, as much as I'm really busy now, it's made my job so much more enjoyable now. One thing I can say, I love getting up in the morning, and I love working. I love doing what I'm doing, so I know it's impact.
Nice.
And I think that just comes through experience.
And I think it's like, you think about, you know, we both had the chance to, you know, we worked at a full service agency, so that in itself was great, because you got exposed to so many different people, different types of people, and different specialisms, which really kind of helped you get that experience.
It was like, obviously working with you, we work closely together on social media. But then what we would do is then we would take that strategy, and then we'd go and sit next to the creative team, and then they'd come up with the concepts. And it was so when we talk about the T-shaped individual, deep in one area, but then you along the top of the T, you're well versed in everything. And to be honest, I'm still learning pockets of that throughout my career. So like, since being at Curated, we do a lot more with CRM now, and email management stuff. Like, didn't really do any of that before. And then I'm doing a lot more with primary research now. And you know what? I'm 34, been in the game now over sort of 13, 14 years now. I think saying like that, it's scary when I put it like that. But I'm still, you know, you're still picking up these things and still learning. But that's what gets me out of bed in the morning. And because also with adding those services and strings to your bow, so to speak, you're actually then shaping the proposition and what you can offer to clients. So a lot of my role at Curated is about building the products and services in the consultancy sector. So I think we've built probably 4 or 5 different products, and at the moment I'm building like entry products, but it's by spotting opportunities. So we're doing a lot more like primary research now. So we go and do a big preliminary piece of research which looks at more like digital data points and touch points. And then what we do is we create hypotheses, and then we push it into like a primary research partner. But it's you have to go out and test those things in the market. But by positioning ourselves around this consultancy offering, we can do that now. And that is where we've been able to start to, I wouldn't say we haven't 10x our revenue, but we're doing pretty well. We're on that trajectory.
Yeah. So with, you know, there are agencies where there were people who, you know, are strategic, you know, but they maybe are in client service roles, you know, and actually they had this challenge of balancing strategy with delivery, and they just end up delivering so much in fact, you mentioned it yourself, doing so much on delivery and not really be able to spend the time. And then you've got agencies who just they deliver and they're well known for being a safe pair of hands. And you want that delivered, we'll deliver it for you. And you're going to be, safe, with us. So I suppose for me, that's kind of like, as a question that pops up in my head is it's about how organizations make that shift. Consultancy.
It's to be honest, it's something that we're obviously learning a lot from at the moment, and that you made a really good point about safe. Like there's that old saying about no one got fired for hiring IBM or using IBM as a safe option. And don't get me wrong, we see friction from our side on that because they don't want to look like a muppet in front of the board, just in case one thing I will say is by going with a smaller strategic consultancy like us, they are taking a risk because I can safely say they haven't worked with someone that works our kind of way before. And then to be honest, that's where we sometimes rub up against those issues around that delivery, because we've still got clients that want to deliver a lot. The way that we're looking to make that shift and being able to ensure that we can deliver those agency briefs, we've still got people that are more than happy to work in an agency way working, and actually they're bloody good at it, and that's where their skill set is, and that's where they will start and end their careers, and that's great.
Fair enough.
The one thing that we're looking to do more and more is develop a supply chain. That could be anything from partnering with agencies that are just known for doing really good delivery, and then what we do is we front load a lot of the strategy or the consultation, or it could be anything looking at sort of M&A, merger and acquisition of sort of smaller businesses that want to just work as an agency but would like to be attached to a consultancy, in the direction that we're going. On that front of, I think one trend, and maybe because the HR market, to be honest, the recruitment market at the moment is crazy in terms of like skill gaps, and we're finding at the moment to hire the right people is an absolute nightmare. Like our MD, I think, has gone grey from trying to do because there's seemingly so many jobs for so little people out there at the moment. But one trend that I think will happen, and I think COVID set it back a little bit, because I think with the furlough and people being let go from their jobs, there was a lot of candidates sort of on the loose and have settled in jobs. I think bigger brands will look to start in-house in digital skills. Like I said, it's become a bit more of a commodity.
Got to.
Yeah, in-house those skills. So one thing that we're also looking to do on that front is, if we were to say sign a contract for 6 months with a client, we go, what we can do, we'll spend 3 months helping you deliver. Then we'll spend 3 months training your team that are coming in. That's where you can leverage consultancy positioning, because we've got the years of experience, so we know we can do that. So one of the big things that we are looking to push forward with is that sort of training, secondment, in-housing kind of strategy. I think where it's going, but clients will understand the value that what we're offering as well is strategic insight. So they're not going to just drop you because, okay, you've in-housed the team now and get on with it, because you can still give them valuable information. So I think for us as well, it future-proofs against those dynamics in the market.
Actually, it's about having the confidence to make that decision as well. Going back to what you said earlier on about, and we've all seen this, and listeners will have seen this, especially in the agency side, is giving away all that information, all that knowledge, because there's that thing about we want to win the business. But actually, we want to keep the business. So actually realize that what you are putting in multiple slide decks and spending hours on actually is in itself a massively valuable commodity. And to say we're going to do this for you, is something, I suppose, it's a bit of a deep breath moment for companies thinking about. We're
reviewing, we've got a lot better in terms of not giving away too much IP at that first hurdle. It's about doing enough. It's about showing them a little bit up under the bonnet of what they can get. But where before we used to put it all in, we don't, but basically at pitch, write strategy and not charge for it. So we're trying to be better in terms of like, and I think we're getting to that place where we can confidently say we've got IP. Like our frameworks, our processes, the way we do stuff is our IP. So we're looking at potentially thinking, okay, well, if you do want us to go and pitch and stuff like that, do you get the client or the brand sign an NDA? Because one, we worked with, we pitched for a client recently, got very close. And because obviously we've got tracking software and stuff, we know that they keep opening up our proposal, even though they're working with another aid. So they're obviously taking a lot of ideas from that. So for us, that's a deep breath moment of like, we can't have that anymore. You know what I mean? I don't think there's anything stopping companies doing that. And you've got to give away a little bit at pitch. But there's some companies out there that refuse to pitch and don't pitch. But I don't think we'd ever go down that angle because for me, it screams of pretension. There are some people out there that, so there's like a hierarchy that Simon, I think he spoke about it on the call that I think you enjoyed the webinar that you, Chris, and it's a hierarchy with almost like what I'd call a prescribed solution. So it's a commoditized solution, something lots of people offer, and it's a race to the bottom. Then you've got a superior solution, which is what I'd say is 3 to 4 companies offer it, and I think we're sort of in that middle part, definitely on the consultancy side. And then you've got the only solution, which is a one-on-one. And really, a lot of our story now is like, how can we be the only solution to brands out there? Is that through finding niches? Like, do we say, okay, health and wellness, we're the only solution for them? And you just work with loads of sort of health and wellness brands. Is it based on products that we offer? So we're doing a lot of R&D at the moment in building sort of software that can synthesize data points that build like live personas, and then based on trends in the market that then you can plug into business and marketing strategy. Is that going to be the superior solution that we can offer as part of our service? So these are the kind of things that we're thinking about. But the beauty of the way that we work now is we're always ideating, we're always thinking about innovation. And I feel like we've got a product and service stack now that can scale. The next step is just building upon our roster. And to that point is, as a consultancy, do we just have 5 or 6 clients on big consultancy retainers that do project, and then we do some projects, or do we scale it that we have lots of clients on small? I think what we've decided to do is the big sort of meatier project stuff we will do in the consultancy part of the business, and then we will use the agency engine as basically a bit of a cash machine to fund the overheads, and then also can then be put into R&D and also what we're doing in consultancy. So we're pretty settled on that, but as you can see, like, we haven't got all the answers yet, and we're always learning. And saying like, but things like at the moment, what we're seeing a bit of paralysis in the market in terms of decision making, because I think with cost of living rises, that does impact businesses. With the war in Russia and Ukraine, that does impact not only businesses but consumers. And I think so we know that we haven't got this 12-month, 18-month battle plan that's just rigid and we're going to stick to it. We're going to have to think on our feet. So we need to go. But the beauty is, this is the way that we communicate to clients. We will talk to the clients about cost of living rises, about war in Ukraine and consumer confidence. We use tools that plug into one actually tool that we've been onboarded recently called Global Web Index has been revolutionary for
there's so much there.
It's just it's so good,
it's worth the money.
Persona profiles and stuff. So look, I know I'll openly admit I'll put my hands up to it. We definitely haven't got all the answers, and we're having to think and be agile, but we're on the right trajectory. And I always say it's this, like, ever since I've been at Curated, there's always been this sort of spiral where you go up and then you dip round again, and you dip round again, but we're always going up. And I think that's the important thing, and you're learning, and it's iterative. So we're in it's exciting, because I generally feel like, although there are consultancies out there that probably offer similar stuff to what we do, we're also innovating on product as well. And it's exciting. I can nice. But I'm enjoying what I'm doing at the moment.
Well, it's having all the answers isn't really reality, is it? because if you think you got all the answers, then you're probably not adapting to what's going on in the real world. So it's a good mindset to have, I think.
Yeah, so it becomes like ostrich mentality, just put your head in the sand and like just. And the thing is, that's one thing. Like we talk about 3 tiers of client prospects. There's tier 1, which are people that don't want to change, which, to be honest, are people we just don't engage with because they will go safe. They will go for your safe delivery agency and just poodle along like that. Then you've got your tier 2 client, which is someone that's a bit more receptive to what we're doing. And it's probably where a lot of our clients sit at the moment. It takes a bit of warming up, a bit of education, but we'll get them on the road with us. The tier of client that we really want to double down on is like what we call the tier 3. And I know we talk a lot about disruption in this industry, but the tier 3 client is who are people that want to rip it up, rip the template up. Yeah. And that's our play to the market. Look, we want to challenge the traditional way, or not even the traditional way, because actually the traditional sense of marketing is what I love. And I think what's happened with so much technology out these days, it's sort of moved away from like following the traditional way of marketing and more about, okay, how much budget can we stick into a channel and turn the budget up and down?
Plug it into an audience, sling product, that's it. Yeah.
Exactly. You don't get me wrong. Some of the automation out there these days is superb. Like, to be honest, I think Google's automation on Google Ads and stuff has really caught up from when they first launched it. But at the same time, there's got to be better ways of doing it. So you'll hit a ceiling. You'll always hit a ceiling if you're not coming back and thinking, okay, what does my customer look like? What is my message look like? Okay, plug that into the channels. But one thing that we're always trying to keep an eye on is those competitor movements, those movements in trends, those changes in the industry, because those dynamics do make a difference. And you need to call them up early with clients, because who's the first person that gets the blame if performance goes down? It's the agency.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've also tried to move away from that blame game, that agency client fatigue that can set in. Okay, let's have a weekly call, monthly reporting run through. You cover the same old ground by actually embedding it, sort of almost like insight-led assurance model that we pull in. We're giving them something new. One bit of advice, I think it might have been at Havas actually, it was like going to meetings with clients, take 2 or 3 new things into that meeting to end the meeting, because you end on you do your BAU, 3 new things, like get buzz in the room, and they come out of that meeting going, okay, they told us something new, great.
Yeah, exactly. Not just the normal, not just the standard, go through the meeting, deliver the dashboard, insights, actions, that's it. Yeah. I remember, times at Havas when I would dream about dashboards, get so involved with them. But I remember working with one, massive client in particular, and I remember saying to the analysis team that I want to make sure that we've got a retainer for analysis for a whole year. It was a dashboard a month, and I said to the team, I just want to make sure that what they're not getting from this retainer is just 12 dashboards.
Yeah,
and that's the danger. That's the danger, of thinking about things from too much a delivery perspective and productizing stuff, is that people see it as the deliverable. It's not, is it? Of course it's not.
To be honest, and this is a really good point actually, and like part of like us reviewing our processes internally, and it's about a value exchange. So I went on it's a really good. I'll try and dig it out at some point and send it to you, Chris. But it's a really good webinar from Google. Is a partnership with Google and another company, and they were talking about value exchange, about what clients value, what they don't value, and like actually when we got down to the bottom of it, as much as the part of the service was 12 dashboards or whatever, those reports is like, but they would have rather it be just a one pager on the data, and then more about the insight. So that made us look at actually tiering our reporting infrastructure. So if you just want your basic dashboard, like that we can automate out of something like Supermetrics, API and those are data points, send it to them, 1 call a month, that part of the retainer would be a lot smaller. But what we've done is, because of all the data points now we're using for the assurance model, so anything from Google Trends, the Pinterest trends, Reddit trends, like GWI, we make sure that the client can see the value in the layers of data that we're giving them. And and really the goal is then to transition it so it doesn't become like, okay, part of this reporting range is just 12 dashboards. Actually, you're paying for the data and the insight you're getting. And some of the more traditional clients, I'd say the clients that sit between client 1 and client 2, as I talked about, they want the basic service package. Just give it in, you don't lose too much margin.
Courses for courses,
And then the ones that really want to be looking to push things forward and innovate, they take the gold and platinum. And I think it's helped us identify the client, where the client's value, where they see the value in the relationship. Because we were, again, using the discussion that we had about pitching, giving away strategy at pitch. God, the amount of reporting we used to give away, like for reporting's sake. And I was like, this is just, this I suppose this time that we're spending on reporting could be put on the strategic side. So it's not just reports, it's actually thinking about what the critical thinking, what this means to the company. And ever since actually making that review, it's really helped us. But it's been alongside a whole lot of thought about how we position ourselves and how we articulate ourselves to the the external clients and the environment, so to speak.
I think let's, conscious of your time and stuff, let's wrap up a little bit, and let's focus on I suppose, if whether it's an individual or an organization. An individual wants to move more into offer that strategic doing consultancy service, or a company it's wanting to make that shift. What would you say to them? What things can they learn from you?
To be honest, one of our values at Curated, and so if I'm thinking about an individual, it's curiosity. You've got to be curious. We talk about exploration, like exploring different avenues. And I remember one person said like about me, like Dave looks everywhere for data and triggers and stuff. And I think that's so important, but to just be interested in the world in general, and the dynamics that make it shift. It's too easy to say, oh, well, your CPA is down or you've got less leads, but because there's going to be market factors in that. I think you've got to earn your spurs. Whatever it is, if you're interested in social media, you're interested in content marketing, you're interested in paid media, go and earn your spurs. Go and do your 5 years, I'd say 5-6 years. Move up the levels, get in front of clients, work with other people with those deeper skill sets, almost if you think about the pillars. And then what you'll do is naturally, and this is what I found a bit of fatigue in. I feel like I've done it. I've got the t-shirt and everything, and that's when I felt like, no, I can add more value here. And that's when you can start to be almost like the orchestrator of a team of individuals that are coming up through the ranks, and you can orchestrate what's happening in the database. And you're saying actually how this would impact your channels. But the beauty of you going and earning and getting that experience means you also know the complexities that some of these people face. I think I've worked with some strategists before that have just come from, and this can happen, but straight out of like research degrees or mini MBAs and stuff like that. They'll tell a activation or implementation team what to do with actually understanding that some of the complexities and some of the things. I think it's so important to have that backing. I'm not, that's not trying to criticize people that have gone down.
No, not at all. No,
it's just the points of friction that I've seen. And I think if you can be, there's a sense of not almost humility, but by actually having done it, you can work with those teams better.
Definitely. Yeah. Well, that's one of the most important things, as well as curiosity, is for a strategist, is empathy. And that's not empathy just for the customer, for the audience. It's empathy for the people you're working with and the things that you're promising.
And I think I was going to say, because was your next question going to be about business as a company?
Exactly.
I think first and foremost, you've got to know who you are. So I wouldn't say go and make that shift because you want to be different in the market. Because if it doesn't fit your commercial model and fit your end goal, then you'll just get stuck in white space. Not sorry, you'll just get stuck in that limbo space. And I think you need to sort of ascertain, like, do you have the skill sets in there? And that's the next thing, is making sure that you've got the skill sets in the team to then go and deliver a consultative way of thinking. And to be totally honest, we're still developing a team around the consultative offering. To be honest, a lot of people in the business are very sort of consultative in manner, talk strategy with clients, but some of them still love the doing side of it, the tactical side, the campaign side, the creative side, and that, that's great. And then they're probably fatigue of that, and then want to move into more of the consultative way of thinking. I think it's you got to have the appetite, because, like, to be honest, I'm not going to turn around and say an agency that's turning over £2, £3, £4 million, like, to then completely shift their model, because, to be honest, they've probably got a good playbook and a good model and a good way of doing things. The reason why we did it is I just knew that we were a very small fish in a huge pond. We position ourselves now as one of a few, fishes in a different, like in a different pond, if you know what I mean. You need to know your strategic positioning, and in terms of then going and activating that, it's having the skill sets in the business and identifying the people that can carry that way. I wouldn't dismiss what you need. It needs to be a transition. Like, we talk about pivots, like overnight pivots, and that's it. No, that's it. We're just doing consultancy work now, because that's the surest way of just, well, basically, it's like they call it in the quadrant, the diversification. It's like the suicide quadrant. If you were to just it's about that. It's about transitioning, and you need to, like, so for instance, we had to be careful around the COVID period because we needed cash flow in the business, because we didn't furlough anyone. We kept the team on building
nice one.
IP and stuff. So so we had to make sure we had to have work in the business. So we were still bringing in those agency kind of retainers, and it's a transition. It's been, and now we've identified that we need to make the agency side of the business a machine to feed the consultancy part of the business. I wouldn't just do it overnight. To be fair, some people, like, could start off as like pure play consultants, and I'll be totally honest. To be honest, a lot of people that have probably worked in agency go in and set up their own small consultancy. Like, that's another way of doing it, and then they work with a few clients on nice sort of sized out, like, daily rates and stuff. So that's another way. But a company like us, it's a transition. Get the skill sets in the business. We went through a system called EOS, which is the entrepreneurial operating system, which I would recommend highly. Jake, our MD, took us through that. So it's about identifying the culture, the values, the right seats, the business to be able to execute this model. And we repeat that every year. So it works really well.
To really understand yourself, that from an organization level and an individual level is so important, isn't it? And I think it's like anything in life, isn't it? When you really understand yourself, you can understand how you can interact with others. And you can offer the best thing. And I like what you say about, which is absolutely true about going, do we want this to be a race to the bottom? Do we want to be out there competing, amongst hundreds of other, agencies doing the same thing, or can we kind of break the cycle of delivery and just then look at ourselves and then change the model, but as you say, gradually. So
I think it's so much more exciting being a challenger in the market than it is just, there's revenue models at work. We know that the agency model does work, but I do fear that it's going to change. There's still a lot of power in the big networks and stuff as well that obviously take agencies along with them. But for us, it's so much, I suppose, appealing to be a challenger in the market and actually trying to do something different. We don't always make the right decisions, and we learn from them, and we are learning from them. Again, it's that spiral upwards. If you iterate, you learn, and you keep moving forward. And that's where we are at the moment. And it's working well for us. And I think it excites the people that are working within the business.
And it means that when you've got, clients who develop more in-house understanding, but also internal capability, having their own kind of mini in-house agencies or in-house, services, then then absolutely there's a perfect connection there with what you guys have to offer, which are, you know, as opposed to trying to compete with them and trying to cling on to them as long as possible, where actually it's like, yeah, let people do what they're good at.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
do what people enjoy the most.
Exactly. And yeah, we don't want to ever the worst thing you can do, we learned this from going through EOS, is trying to pigeonhole or people into roles that are not right for them, like square peg round holes. And the whole thing about EOS is having the right person for the right seat. And it's a bit like a football formation, you know. You shouldn't be fitting Paul Scholes out in the left wing, like, because you're not going to get of him. So I think that's you need to get your structure right first, and then everything sort of flows down from there.
Good stuff. Well, we could gas on for ages, but it's Friday, the sun is shining, and there is a half term that's just about started, I think, in your house and in my house. It's school's out for Easter. tired boys. Yeah. Well, cheers for the chat, mate. Really appreciate it.
No, it's been great. It's been great to
catch up soon.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Thank you very much. Great, lovely.
Thank you,
cheers, mate.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the chat. If you did, feel free to subscribe to get future episodes, and please do share the podcast with others. It really does make a difference.